What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Ohio Sports Talk. I'm Doug. That's Jordan, and we have a special guest today, Jeffrey from the Cleveland Pulse. Jeffrey, how are you doing today, man?
What's going on, guys? Excited to be here. Excited to talk shop with you, gentlemen. Let's get into it.
Jordan, what's going on with you, man? Let's get into that before we really dive into stuff today.
Hey, just keeping my nose to the grindstone, brother. Enjoying a little bit of the summer with the kids right now. She's been out of school for about 2 weeks, so kind of take advantage. Memorial Day was awesome for the both of us.
Yep.
So coming back to the work week, definitely a downer, but here we are. It's Thursday and it's almost the weekend again. So let's rock it.
Yeah, can't complain too much. Obviously, a lot going on in the world of Ohio sports, guys. We've got we're going to talk a lot of Cavs tonight, obviously, with Jeffrey. OTAs have started. We're getting both sides. We're getting some Bengals. We're getting some Browns news. Watson throwing the ball today. A lot of different topics. DaytonFlyers, some interesting news with recruiting. Daron Holmes staying in the draft. We'll touch on that. FC Cincinnati. There's a lot going on today. But, Jeffrey, we brought you in today because you do a fantastic job with Cleveland sports in general. We would like to, kind of wonder how did you get into this realm? How did you get involved in the content creation, your YouTube channel, your Twitter account? Sorry if you call it X, but it's hard to keep up with that kind of thing.
Right.
How did you get into it? And kind of walk us down that path of how the Cleveland Pulse started and how you got to where you are now.
Right. Well, I appreciate the kind words. And once again, appreciate you guys having me on. It's always good to link up and connect with other people in the community who are like-minded individuals, kind of grinding and working toward the same goals surrounding similar sports teams. But as cliche as it sounds, so me and my buddy Justin, we actually went to the same high school, and our other buddy Logan, who does the Cavs show with us, we all went to the same high school, all graduated in the same year. So this is something that we kind of talked about as a friend group, or just, in our social circles, all the way back to when we were still in high school. But cliche as it sounds, 2020 rolls around. I think a lot of people kind of stuck in their house, man. It just sounds like a lot of podcasts that started during that time. But what I'm proud of is just our consistency, and that we've been doing it for, 4+ years. We started out as audio only, just on your audio sites, your Apple Music, your Spotify, your aggregated audio platforms. We didn't even know how many people were listening to our stuff. Like, we would be like, well, this is a good episode, but we don't, we were just total rookies to start off. And then we did that for the Browns season of 2020. And then New Year's Day of 2021, January 1st, we started our YouTube channel. So, on our way to being 4 full years almost with that coming up here, in 6-7 months, believe it or not. This year's kind of been flying by pretty fast. But yeah, man, we just wanted to have our voice kind of be amplified and be out there. The Twitter obviously came along with it, which you see a lot of people over there, your narratives and people who just, want to have more of a voice as well. And that's where we've always been. Me and Justin always we would always make fun of people in the mainstream, the ESPNs and stuff like that, the TNTs, where it's no disrespect to people who like do it for a living, because obviously that's a huge goal. Like, that would be sweet if I could just, wake up, and obviously it's a lot of work and you got to grind your way to the top. We're not putting any of that down. It's just that we know as fans, you see it all the time. There's these little pockets of the industry, in any industry really, where you're like, yeah, that guy's kind of just saying that to keep his job, or he's saying that to bump his clicks up, or he's the resident hot take guy, where they never go back and look, hey, I was wrong about this, I was right about this, I was wrong. That's what we wanted to change, and kind of, be a difference maker in the community of sports talk and just sports narratives in general. So, we want to be, as balanced but as opinionated as we can be as possible, but always looking out for the people who support the teams, the fans, and the overall pulse of the organization. So yeah, man, it's been a fun ride so far.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And Jordan and I went to high school together. We've been friends for, awesome. I don't know, 20 plus years now, give or take, probably more than 20, 25 years right now. So we definitely understand that background, that friendship. Doing this with a buddy always seems like it helps a little bit because you can hold each other accountable and do that kind of thing. So that's great. Before we got on, you kind of talked about the Cleveland Pulse. What's the mantra? What do I understand you guys are looking to do the best for the fans. Is there anything else layered into that you're looking for when you guys put out content? Because, you guys are pretty darn successful on YouTube. You guys do a great job on X. Any more little insights into what it takes to be good in this space on those platforms?
I mean, I would just say like we try to be objective, but at least for me, we all have our own personalities, whether it's all three of us on the same episode or Logan will be kind of our in-house producer. He has a good background with that where he actually did that professionally as well. So as far as hype videos, edits and stuff like that, that's going to be all him, creative free reign, stuff like that. Justin is basically our in-house resident football guy, played football at high levels, not only at the high school level, but also, in college for a little bit as well. And, we're all former athletes and people who've always loved sports. I would say I kind of have like a contrarian look on some things. I feel like I tend to go against the crowd, which it's not the easiest route to go, I think, in this industry. Because first of all, you have to be right, or you have to think that you're right. And then at the same time, you have to double back. Okay, I wasn't right about this. And we'll be the first people to tell you that. But at the end of the day, everybody who kind of stays on the same side of, just taking the safe way out and just, having safe takes, I feel like, yeah, you could be successful doing that. And if that's how you really feel as an individual, then more power to you. But I mean, I try to be an objective and as, if I see something that I think is nonsense, I'm not going to sit there and just kind of push it off to the side and only comment on the positive things as far as the sports teams that we follow. But yeah, I mean, it's just like, you have so many different communities and different sub pockets of, as far as it could be anything, the Cavs, the Browns, like seems like you guys are kind of cover everything in this little domain. So that was one of our biggest things was like, that's when you hit me up earlier. I'm like, you're like, are you, we do it these days of the week. I'm like, cool, perfect tonight. Like, I wish more people would just be like, you guys interact with us. And I've seen you got, your stuff on my page and I've seen, I looked you guys up on YouTube, but it doesn't matter to me. Like we always say this before we record or after we record, if we had no subscribers, if we had 50 subscribers, we would still be doing this because at the end of the day, it's, 2-3 buddies getting together where, hey, this is a relationship we've always had talking sports and we have fun doing it. There could be nobody watching. It doesn't really matter to us. It's something that we like to do to, be fulfilled and feel like we kind of have an additional purpose and hobby. But I think that what's lacking is this right here. Like you have these different hierarchies where, if you don't have enough subscribers, you don't have enough followers, they don't want to interact with. Who cares, man? We're all fans of the sports team. Someone with 5 followers might have more insight and, intuition and have more experience with talking sports or being in the sports realm than somebody with 15,000 followers. So that's what it is for me.
That's awesome. That's definitely that outlook is definitely appreciated by us because, we're in a closer to our infancy than than obviously where we could be and want to be. So I appreciate you saying that. Jordan, hearing all that, taking all that in, what are your thoughts on, we've seen their content. We've interacted with these guys. What are your thoughts on the Cleveland Pulse? Because, this is kind of where we strive to be eventually is to have to get to that level. So what are your thoughts there?
No, again, Jeffrey, I appreciate you being on and always love the interactions. Doug is a bigger Cleveland guy than I am. He's a diehard Browns fan on the side. I'm more of a Cincinnati guy, but we both love Cleveland Cavs. That's obviously Ohio's go-to when it comes to pro basketball. So we definitely enjoy it, and I like the encouraging words because we are. I think we're maybe 2 months strong. Give or take a week or two.
Nice.
And we've grinded and we've grown and we've had some no's and we've had some yeses. So the fact that you chose the yes and to come on the show, it's so greatly appreciated. So I appreciate it. Let's dive in. Let's rock this.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
for sure. So Jordan, now on the back of that, let's get into it. Jeffrey, we're obviously in the midst of a coaching search for the Cavs. To me, looking at it for where we are, it's still early. We've just got permission to interview Kenny Atkinson and James Borrego. We've also heard Johnny Bryant be a part of the conversation. I know you posted about this earlier. As of right now, Jeffrey, the way we're looking at it, are those the three names that we're looking at the most, in your opinion?
I think so. And this it's just really tricky for me because you have to make a move this offseason. And I know that as someone who was really not a huge fan of JB for a decent amount of time, like I talked about, you could go back to one of our more popular videos last year when we were down 3-1 against the Knicks in that series. And I asked Logan and Justin, we went around the circle. I said, if JB loses game 5 or the Cavs lose game 5, should he be fired? We all said yes. So this is a year in the making. Unfortunately, when you have to maneuver the offseason like this, you miss out on potential candidates that, maybe in a different timeline you could have had, whether it's the Nick Nurses of the world, the Budenholzers, obviously being an option. It's just unfortunate that, it's just unfortunate to me how it happened, because you could say there was progress this year with the Cavs season, but to make a long story short, I think Atkinson is the guy. They're not going to say it out loud, but I think Atkinson is going to be hired at the end of the day. They have to link Johnny Bryant to us because he's been vying for a head coaching job, and he's a part of a very successful staff that has been the New York Knicks the past 2 seasons, and his relationship with Donovan Mitchell doesn't hurt as well. But, Borrego, it's just these guys that you feel like they could be a head coach if they just get the right opportunity, and they're not in the basement of terrible bottom 5 roster, bottom 5 general manager. The owner doesn't want us, do anything to spend money and make changes. It feels like that when you kind of do your research. So I think that Atkinson and Borrego are probably your 2 front runners, especially if they're going to interview those guys first. I know that there's some backdoor names like the Terry Stotts of the world and, some other people that we're going to have to do due diligence on. It bothers me I've heard nothing about JJ Redick. And that's kind of my hot take for this coaching cycle, as far as that we're in need of one, is that at the end of the day, I'm not saying flat out hire the guy. He's the only option. He's my winning candidate. At least do your due diligence on, at least bring him in for an interview. What's the worst that's going to happen? You don't like the guy or maybe you like the guy and you still don't hire him. That's kind of what's bothersome to me. Not that he's like a slam dunk candidate, but at the end of the day, I'm not sure if any of these guys are.
Jeffrey, to just question that back. Now, JJ Redick, do you think the reason we haven't gone harder is because of the Lakers connection with him and how they've done their interviews already? Is that maybe the Cavs thinking is he's maybe linked there already, and we're not going to, waste the resources? Coming in for an interview just doesn't seem, that bad. Jordan, what do you got?
Well, I'm just kind of touched. Borrego's been interviewed, from what I've seen, twice by the Lakers already. So that's what, why not call JJ Redick? And, if Kenny Atkinson is kind of our front runner, you look at him, he was on a 118 wins, 190 losses on a staff in Brooklyn when Brooklyn really didn't take anything seriously, kind of when they re-evolved their franchise.
Yep.
So he has experience in kind of a rebuild, which the Cavs aren't in a full rebuild right now, but maneuvering pieces and trading and bringing in big names. So, would you think about taking JJ? I guess my question is, as an assistant or a high-end assistant, if we bring in somebody like Kenny Atkinson?
I think that's interesting, but I don't know. He wants to be, if he wants to be I don't think he'd get into the game right off the rip to be an assistant. I would be thrilled with that. I mean, you're telling me that we could look down the bench and and once again, no disrespect, but it's either looking at Luke Walton or JJ Redick. I mean, at the end of the day, I think that's kind of an easy choice. And I know Luke Walton has a lot of coaching experience. He coached well with the Lakers when Steve Kerr wasn't available for them. But at the end of the day, that's kind of Atkinson's background too. You know, someone who's been on that Steve Kerr staff, and he's been waiting to – he seems like Atkinson seems like an intelligent individual to me, because he could have taken a job that, like I said, wasn't very desirable. And after the Warriors won their most recent ring, he kind of pumped the brakes and held off, even though he's basically agreed that he was going to be a head coach. He said, well, no, I'll just stay on the staff as an assistant. And that kind of screams maturity to me. So Redick, I think that's a good point, Doug. Maybe the Lakers kind of have him like signed, sealed, delivered under the table, and maybe Altman and company knows that. What's interesting to me, another thing I don't think a lot of people are talking about, and once again, I'm not saying it's should be the first option, but I wonder how much due diligence this front office will look at as far as pre-existing bench guys we have. Is JJ Outlaw getting an interview? Is Luke Walton getting an interview? I think those are interesting questions too, which I'd like to raise because I just haven't seen anything about them.
Question then, because you bring that up, because of the negativity that came out after the season, are those guys maybe off limits for the players, potentially a Donovan Mitchell, who we want to see sign extension? Because we saw that, the Marcus Morris interview, wasn't exactly glowing of JB and everything that had taken place. Are you thinking maybe those guys aren't getting the interviews because we just want to clean house, brand new staff,
maybe
all that kind of stuff? I
think but at the end of the day, and I'm not actually really familiar with how staff like turnover goes, but it's not like it's not like the headline was, JB in the big font, and then like the subheader was, whole coaching staff got dissolved. Like I haven't seen anything official on that. So it actually kind of leads me to believe in that case that maybe they are looking at some of those guys, because I mean, if you just put everyone's name down on a piece of paper and you go through pros and cons, yes, there was a lot of negativity to come out of the offseason, but at the end of the day, your assistant staff, who this staff, to the best of my knowledge, has been together for, they have some continuity. Mm-hmm. They know these guys. They know what the locker room was like. They know maybe they know what JB's issue was that he wasn't correcting, or maybe he wasn't listening to them. Maybe some of the players went and confided in the assistants, was like, hey man, JB's not doing this, and I don't think this is right. And practices are, we don't really even know we're doing practices, whatever came out of, the whole offseason bloodbath as soon as the ball dropped. So I'm not saying that, they could clean it. A new guy might want all new staff and everybody that he wants, handpicked, but it's still an interesting dynamic that we haven't really heard anything about. Hey, here's the future of this assistant with the organization or anything like that.
Yeah, I just, in my head, when the head coach goes, I don't know why, for some reason, I'm just like, okay, we're cleaning house. The new coach is going to want his guys in place, and maybe one guy gets to hang on. But I do see that. I like that. I like that take on it. So you think Kenny Atkinson's the guy, right?
Right now, if I had to take an educated guess, I think Atkinson gets hired, and from preliminary research, he's my preferred candidate.
Right. Jordan, go ahead.
No, I just kind of want to circle the wagons back, talking about keeping the assistant or kind of the coaching staff on a bench. And I think the difference this year, in normal years, I would say you want to keep some of the assistants, but the Cavaliers have so many contracts right now, and it starts with Donovan Mitchell, and then it goes down to, are we trading Garland? Garland being a highly covenant trade partner with just about every team in NBA right now has got to be a big factor in maybe bringing in a fresh staff on who they want to bring in, who they want to trade for, who they want to outsource. Because if the new head coach wants his guy from, whether it's going to be like a Brandon Ingram or, making a big splash trade, maybe calling around and seeing if Philadelphia wants to keep some of their role players, or, if the series ends tonight, there's a lot of questions with the Wolves roster. And especially Jared Allen being another piece where a lot of teams are already knocking on our door for him. If he's not going to be part of the growth of the team moving forward, if Evan Mobley's just going to be the guy when it comes to playing as a center or playing in a five. So I think that we're going to clean house, and this is just my opinion. There's no big time research behind it. It's just outside looking in. We got a lot of money that's going to be moved around, a lot of guys that are going to be traded, and it all starts with we want to keep Donovan Mitchell is going to be the star piece. Evan Mobley is going to be the number 2, and then everything after that's kind of got to be proven. And it's got to, if we're going to bring in a head coach, it's got to be the players that he wants. And if we keep the assistants that's existing, that's going to upset a lot of the assistants. Okay, we're going to get rid of this guy. Well, the assistants, like you said, had a working relationship with the current bench and role players. And if we're not going to keep those guys around, I think we'll clean house with the assistants.
Jordan, to piggyback off that point, Jeffrey, I'm going to ask you plain. Is Donovan Mitchell a Cleveland Cavalier next season?
You stole it.
Yes.
Yep.
But not definitively. Like, I'm like 60-40, yes.
Okay, so 60-40, because last week, me and Jordan were going back and forth, same way, kind of thinking, we both believe he is back next year. I don't know. I'm getting the good energy from it or something. Jordan, you went into it last week and did a good job on it. Talking about, the positives of him returning. I think he's coming back, guys. Jordan, I know you have some thoughts on that. Go ahead.
No, I think he's coming back, and kind of not to repeat myself, but I actually read a couple outlets. I don't know how accurate the story is, but they're saying he has a lot of control of the roster right now. Jeffrey, have you kind of having more of a ear to the ground?
I saw that same report, and that was from Brian Windhorst over at ESPN Cleveland. Let's say Windhorst is credible, which I'm not sure that you could definitively say that if that report is true, that's a little startling. That report bothers me, and I know that kind of seems like maybe that's like that might be part of the minority opinion in that assessment, because it's almost to the point where you want your superstar to be heavily involved, and I get that. If you go through exit interviews, if you got to keep these guys happy. They're pro athletes at the end of the day. They're making millions of dollars. He could go get a contract wherever in the NBA. Any other team would be lucky and grateful to have him. I understand that. And I respect him as a basketball player and as an overall talent. The only other guy who I've seen in the entirety of my NBA career that I think should have had like full reign control over an organization just luckily happened to be LeBron James. I don't think Donovan Mitchell's that guy. He's not on that level. He's not the best player in the NBA. When LeBron was pulling the strings for us, he was the best player in the NBA, huge gap behind him, and he was willing the team to the finals every year. I like Donovan Mitchell. He's a top echelon player in the league. He's an A+ S tier guy. He's not the guy of the league, and that's fine. There's only one guy of the league, and the league has a lot of parity right now. Totally understandable, but I say 60-40, not to go on a huge rant, to cut you off here, Jordan. I say 60-40 because I can't give you more than like 60 to 65% just based on the history of this franchise. I heard LeBron wasn't leaving once. I heard he wasn't leaving twice. I heard Kyrie Irving was going to be a Cavalier his whole career. I feel like a lot of people either have just kind of started following the team, or it's kind of slipped their memory that these things have happened, where, you have an infamous interview. I don't even know where Kyrie Irving is. He's up on stage, and the little kid comes and takes the mic. He goes, are you going to be a Cavalier for life? And he's like, yeah, I'm never leaving you guys. These guys say whatever, man. And I get it's business decision. If Don thinks he could go and have a better chance to win somewhere else, at the end of the day, even though it seems like he was involved with Bickerstaff's decision, even if he's going to be heavily involved with the coaching staff, you really never know.
Well, yeah, well said. Hey, go ahead, Jordan.
No, definitely. We definitely have a rich history of putting all our eggs in a basket and having them smashed on Saturday night. So I definitely don't disagree with that. But I'm just kind of outside looking in. What I said on the last episode we had, we do have Evan Mobley, whose ceiling has been seen as much higher. We do have covenant trade pieces. We have a solid bench right now. And I think that's, you look around the East and, Philadelphia, I feel like their window's kind of almost, I'll never put them out, but their window's closing a lot more rapidly than Cleveland is. They have a lot more health issues than we do. You look at the Bucks, They did a mid-season change coaching. It didn't work out. You kind of look at that roster. They kind of pointed a lot of fingers. Kind of remind me of the Philadelphia Eagles in the NFL at the end of the year. You saw a lot of back and forth on a podium between players and coaches. So that situation doesn't look great. I think we have a more talented roster coming up if we pull the right strings to kind of put us past New York. And and Boston, depending on what they do or don't do in the finals, if they lose, that team could implode themselves. So it's kind of right for the taking that Cleveland is that gray area where, hey, we have a lot of great trade pieces. We have a lot of great guys on the roster. We have a young, talented core that have a higher ceiling than what they've been playing at. And if we bring in the right head coach with Donovan Mitchell, we can kind of hit that unlock button and really see what this team can do. And I think that's the things he's got to think about, because you look at the West, Dallas is making a stamp. The Thunder are young and upcoming, and it's a lot more competitive over there. Where the East is the East kind of has a hierarchy that can really kind of shuffle around a little bit, where the West is kind of more definitive. So if he's looking around for a business decision and he really wants to win a ring and choose legacy over money, I think his best chances are going to be right here in Cleveland, and that's got to be weighing on his mind. What do you guys think? I'll kind of give you guys the mic on that.
I'm definitely with you. I mean, I definitely think we're in a very competitive East, and I think we can compete in the East if things get moved around and shaken up the right way. Which leads me into my next question, Jeffrey. We're going to piggyback off of Jordan because he has mentioned the Cavs have good assets. Who do you think? If Donovan Mitchell resigns, obviously that is the big important piece, domino piece in this whole situation. Who gets traded first? Is it Jared Allen? Is it Darius Garland? Is it one of those guys? I mean, what are your thoughts there on the roster construction if the Donovan Mitchell piece falls?
So I think you have to take the Clutch Sports leaks or rumors or reports, whatever you want to call them, kind of at face value, because you really have no refuting evidence to go the other way. So that situation's that's been the most bizarre part of this young offseason so far. Have they even had conversations? Has Donovan even, picked up the phone and called Darius or vice versa to be like, hey man, I think that we have confidence that we could, get this done, me and you? Or is it just, if Donovan signs an extension that Darius is going to ask for a trade by proxy? Yeah. And at the end of the day, Altman doesn't really have to do anything there. He could just stand pat and be like, hey man, you can request all you want, but we just gave you this contract. We just bet on you, very recently. So that could get interesting. I don't really see how that plays out in a great manner if that's the truth. Either way, I think DG would definitely be the first one to go, just based off of everything, whether it's you think Don can run the one. If you think that we play better basketball with Donovan at the one for some of the games this, previous season and even in the playoffs at some point. But this roster, I think it should be, and I think it will be a lot different headed into, the 2024-2025 season compared to what it was this year, whether it's DG being moved, whether it's, hey, you kind of have to decide between LeVert and Okoro. Okoro's a restricted free agent. You just gave LeVert kind of a new contract. Do we have all this, room for them to get minutes when it seemed like neither of them were really that effective in the postseason? Niang kind of suddenly becomes a huge question mark, even though he was okay in the regular season, but you still have 2 more years of that contract. You seemingly might have to look for a backup point guard. I think Craig Porter Jr. is good enough to do it, but if it's a strong, free agent point guard class, you're going to have to do your due diligence. You still don't have a backup big. You haven't had a backup big who's been competent. I feel like since Kobe Altman took over the reins 6, 7, 8 years ago, you've went through Moses Brown, Ed Davis, Tristan Thompson, 25-game suspension. Isaiah Mobley's not there yet. Robin Lopez, Brooke, whichever Lopez it was. And Drummond might be a coveted asset this offseason. I wouldn't mind doing some due diligence into Andre Drummond to bring him back, but there's a lot of questions.
Yep. No, good point. Shout out to Fatboy Fadeaway. Our guy Darren believes Garland will be traded first. to a Western Conference team. So interesting. There's been some Brandon Ingram rumors, that kind of stuff. Obviously, we know about. Jeffrey, we kept you a lot longer than we thought. Let's touch on a couple more things real quick before we get you out of here. Who is your favorite all-time Cleveland Cavalier?
LeBron James, but that's the very casual answer. Believe it or not, if you took LeBron James out of that question, it'd be Kyrie Irving.
There's just a couple years there where he was so damn incredible for Cleveland.
I feel like his lore with the franchise kind of fell off, and then we let Colin Sexton and Ty Jerome wear number 2. But I digress.
Ty Jerome could have moved mountains if it could have happened. That's good.
What about Big Z? Where does Big Z? Because he was older when LeBron got there.
Yeah,
but he was kind of the face of the franchise when when they were kind of under the rock.
Big Z was a fundamental pro basketball player. I think a lot of people overlooked him. He was part of the little supporting cast LeBron had some of those years. I mean, significantly better than Larry Hughes and Eric Snow and basically anybody else you could think of from those roster.
Those are some years, man.
It was him and Boobie Gibson, as far as I'm concerned, for some of that run. So yeah, Big Z definitely top 5 for me for sure.
All right,
one of the best pick and roll mid range jump shots you'll ever see.
He was ahead of his time.
That guy was automatic from 15 to 20 feet. It was incredible. And we had to throw him out there against Tim Duncan in the finals. Jesus. Good times.
It was worse against Dwight Howard in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Oh, man, we were out of our depth again in the big man situation. Jeffrey, we really do appreciate your time. Is there anything you want to plug, anything you want to talk about before you get out of here tonight?
No, man, I really appreciate you guys having me on. A great conversation, flew by. Love doing stuff like this. Think that you guys are doing a kick-ass job. Keep it up, man. Hey, when we were I told you guys before we hopped on here, 2 months in, we didn't even know how many people were listening to us. Still not on video or anything. You guys already running it up to about 200 subs. Crazy impressive. Like you guys said, Cleveland Pulse over on YouTube. We're at Pulse Cleveland on X, Twitter, Bird app, whatever you want to call it. Just our socials right there, man. And just keep having, my advice to everybody watching, or you guys, just keep having, healthy, respectful conversations, and just make sure you keep up with it, stay consistent. And yeah, man, we're all fans at the end of the day, but if you put a little bit more extra work into it, like, us three have right here, it goes a long way, man. It's fulfilling. It feels real good.
Okay. Well, Jeffrey, again, appreciate you. We will definitely see you around the X-verse, and thank you for your time.
Absolutely. You guys have a good one. All right. Thanks again. We'll do this again. We'll get it wrapped up.
Yes.
Hey, we'll have you guys on at some point.
We would love that, honestly.
We'll get it set up. So you guys have a good night. See you guys when we see you. All right.
All right. See ya.
All right.
Thank you, Jeffrey.
That
was awesome.
That was Jeffrey from the Cleveland Pulse. Really, really knowledgeable guy. Clearly knows his basketball. Clearly knows his Cavaliers. Excellent conversation. We really appreciate that. Kept him a lot longer than we agreed on. So thank you so much, Jeffrey, for your time. Jordan, let's move ahead though. Little Dayton Flyers chatter. So yesterday, Jordan, Daron Holmes stays in the NBA draft. Good for him. 3 great seasons with Daron.
Can't argue that.
He's working his way into. On a lot of the mock drafts, he is a late first-round pick. That's incredible. So happy for him. I know you've kind of latched on to the Flyers here of late. What are your thoughts on Daron Holmes, an excellent basketball player for the Dayton Flyers?
Well, I've been a Flyers fan for a while, but
I know a little bit deeper into the fray recently.
You're right. But yeah, most recently, Daron Holmes definitely brought me back. I started being a Flyer during Brian Roberts' season when he started killing it. But I think he's right where he needs to be. That mid to late first round talent. We know he's a great defender when he wants to be. We know what he can do around the paint. We know he can make awesome breakaways. And if he cleans up a little bit of his game, this is right where he needs to be. So I'm happy to see him there. I think he's going to do well in the NBA. I think maybe even kind of OB Toppin level. I'd like to see him maybe stick with one team in his first contract and hope he doesn't get moved around. But the NBA is a business at the end of the day. But
For sure.
I definitely think that he's going to do great things, and just another Flyer faithful, another one we can put in the stable that we can say, hey, we went from Obi Toppin to Daron Holmes being the next first round talent guy, and really props to the Dayton program, and I hope they can build off that when it comes to recruiting.
Yeah, good transition, Jordan, because Dayton yesterday, Daron's going out. We've got a player coming in, Hamad Mousa from Qatar. He's a guy who really came onto the scene recently at the Basketball Without Borders camp in 2024. 6'8", long, kind of an athletic build, great basketball IQ, good shooter, a guy who's actually projected, Jordan, to go in the first round in some mock drafts on the 2025 NBA draft. So a major talent coming to Dayton next season from he's been playing in Australia the last couple of years. It's going to be interesting to see if he can contribute right away. He is a slider build, and we know people don't really give it as much credit as they should. The A10 is a physical basketball league. That is, it's going to you are going to take some lumps. You are going to get beat up. If he can put some weight on, put a little muscle on, a high potential player. I actually put out a YouTube video on my Flying with Doug channel talking about him, about 7 minutes long. If you would check that out, that'd be fantastic. But a little background on him. So, Jordan, go out and get a high talent guy from the international ranks who has some draft potential going forward. So, the Obi Toppin, Tumani Kamara, Daron Holmes. We keep snagging in some of these talented guys and keep working them in, and this guy could be our next NBA player. So that's pretty exciting.
Definitely hats off to Anthony Grant. I think his background in the NBA as an executive and as a staff member had a lot to do with this, because you have to know your homework, especially when you're all eyes are on international play and guys that are trying to make it and come into the United States and make a name for themselves. And with the way the NIL is designed right now, Doug, I think that's kind of the way of the future. We're always going to have our recruits right here. Our guys we're going to get, but the NIL kind of gives coaching staffs and recruiting an extra set of binoculars to kind of have the flexibility to bring some of these guys over, where he could have probably made some money in overseas basketball on their pro level and then chipped into the G League and went that route. But I definitely credit the NIL this year for bringing them into Dayton. I'm sure that had a lot to do with it. So.
Yep. No, that's well said. So exciting. Dayton has at least one more scholarship open. Hopefully they can bring in maybe a forward or something like that. But talented team, definitely need a little bit extra with that roster still. But go ahead.
No, I'm just saying there's a couple. I don't have the names written down, unfortunately, but there's a couple guys that withdrew from the draft. I think a Province guard was one of them. But definitely want to keep our ears to the ground, and we'll let our viewers and our fans know as soon as we learn or whatever we hear kind of leak out from that, because you're going to see a couple more probably before the end of tonight. Undeclare for the draft and kind of get back into scholarship contention. So I'm sure the Flyers are keeping a slot open for somebody big.
Yep. Nope. We'll definitely have our ears to the pavement, and we'll bring up anything else that comes up with Dayton. Congratulations, Daron Holmes. We wish you the best. Hopefully that first round, your name gets called in that first round, and we get to have another Flyer to root for in the NBA. Jordan, let's move on to something a little bit more depressing. The Cincinnati Reds. These guys absolutely stink. Jordan,
we can't say that.
Before you go.
Go ahead.
If based on average, where do you think the Cincinnati Reds rank in the MLB in terms of hitting team average?
Team average. I think we're in the lower 10 percentile. I think we're not great, Doug.
There's 30 teams. Where do you think we rank?
I want to say 25.
No, we rank 29th in Major League Baseball in batting average. We are hitting 216 as a club. These guys stink, Jordan. These guys stink. What are we going to do? We were so excited. We were so excited this past weekend. We sweep the Dodgers. We win one from the Cardinals. We lose the next two. Today's an off day. We can't lose on an off day. That's the best part about an off day, Jordan. And tomorrow we start a series with the Cubs. I mean, what the hell is going on? How much longer do we have to watch David Bell be the manager of this team?
And you hit the nail on the head. To quote Chris Tucker, I kind of wish he would have got fired on his day off, but definitely wish David Bell would have got the boot today because, like you said, we had all the momentum in the world. The Dodgers are one of the best teams in NL. They came into Cincinnati. We did the sweep. We won Game 1 against the Cardinals. We were feeling good. We were manufacturing runs. We were doing it by pitching duels, and Adbot takes the mound, and it's just like I don't even know what to say. No run support, bad pitching in the first couple innings. High pitch count going in the third, fourth inning. It's complete opposite of what we saw. Are we playing to the level of our competition, or are we being coached at the level of our competition?
We're worse than our competition, Jordan. They should be playing to our level. We're the team that sucks.
We're beating teams, Doug, because if you look at our wins, we're beating teams that we have no business beating. But the Cardinals the struggling Cardinals come in town, and Rob Schneider, we suck again. And I posted at that. And it's just, I don't get it. It's got to be a new voice. It's just like, as much as I hate our ownership, as much as I hate the Castellinis, come on. Like everybody that with a little bit of IQ knowledge in any kind of sports knows it starts and it dies with the main voice in the locker room, and it's David Bell. David Bell, even during our worst losing streaks, we're playing okay. We're doing our best. We're doing our best. Sean Connery has a different saying on that. I won't quote it fully here. The best doesn't bring it home, and that's just the way it is. You want to be a fucking winner. And first time I cursed tonight, I tried to go a whole hour without it, but damn, it just David Bell gets me heated up, Doug. So I'll let you finish your thoughts on it, but it's got to be a coaching change.
We are 26th in Major League Baseball with on base percentage. We've the 5th most strikeouts in Major League Baseball. I know strikeouts aren't what they used to be, but it's pretty damn hard to watch when this team strikes out as much as they do.
Yeah. Think we had our first hit in the 6th inning the other night.
Yeah, no, back-to-back games. Yeah. We didn't have hits. We were no hit into the 6th inning. The second game against the Cardinals, and we were 1 hit into the 6th inning last night. It's just, and then David Bell gets on, and he's like, "Yeah, we were one big hit away from this being a good game, a comeback." I'm like, dude, I asked this to everybody I see who if David Bell got fired today, who in Major League Baseball would be beating his door down to have him coach their team next year? Nobody. Absolutely nobody. Nobody. He's not a good coach. It's just
we're too talented, especially with Friedel back in the lineup. We're too talented to be this poor right now in performance, and it's got to be the coaching. I have no excuse for it. Because the talent is there. We made the right signings. We have one of the youngest, most exciting players in baseball who's probably going to be a top 5 highest paid of all time because we can't manage him. He's going to go somewhere else. Ellie Deli Cruz is just it is the electrifying sportsman of baseball, and we're wasting it. We're squandering it. We have a rotation that's talented enough to win some games, and we can't get them run support. Hunter Green's last 3 outings have been damn near perfection. We finally gave him some fucking support, but his 2 starts before that, he's racking up losses that shouldn't be that way, and he's not the only one in the staff. So it's just, I don't know why we're holding on to David Bell. I don't know if he has some blackmail, if he's got some pictures. I don't know. I rack my brain about it before I go to bed sometimes because I'll stay up late and watch the illegal sportscast. I hate Bally Sports. Go illegally because it's just not worth $20 a month. But it's just I rack my brain about it, and I can't come up with anything. As a fan, as an analyst, as somebody that's played, as somebody that coaches myself, if I was doing this bad, Doug, show me the door, please. I'd be like, hey, why am I still here? Why
Right.
I can't win games? I can't get the best out of my players. I can't get the best out of my rotation. Just send me packing. No, you're good, man. Go out there and do it again. All right. I mean, that's where we're at. It's comical. That's where we're at right now as a franchise, and it's pathetic because we're better than that.
It is pathetic. It is absolutely pathetic. At this point, it's sad. It's pathetic. It's hard to watch. It felt like they lulled us all into, hey, this team could be something when we swept the Dodgers and then beat the Cardinals. And then we just get brought right back down into reality with a terrible, terrible 2 games against the Cardinals to lose the series. Tomorrow, like you said, 2:20 start in Chicago. They've got Javier Assad starting for them. He's a damn good pitcher. He's 4-1 on the year, 2.17 ERA. If we weren't struggling already, he's gonna give us problems tomorrow. Graham Ashcraft on the hill. He's had some good. He's thrown some good games. And then he's obviously struggled at times. That last game against the Dodgers didn't help the ERA. He had gave up 5, but we got the win. Overall, I think Graham Ashcraft's very solid. So we got a shot tomorrow. The bats. It's the bats. It's coming back to the bats. I believe in our starting pitching. I don't believe in our hitting and those stats. Like I told you at the beginning of this segment, we're hitting 219 as a team. We're 26th in on base percentage. We don't manufacture runs. We don't do a good job of any of that. Any last thoughts on the Reds, Jordan? Before we move on to
no, I've ranted
a little more exciting.
I've ranted. I've complained. We put facts out there, Douglas. Let's move along.
Okay, let's transition to FC Cincinnati. They lose the winning streak last night to Nashville. What happened, Jordan?
The team looked a little bit flat and unenergetic. So maybe all great teams kind of need an awakening moment. Nashville doesn't have a great record, but they also have a young and talented team up and coming. And I think that was just kind of Nashville's night. Nashville's looking to make a stamp with their young roster that's kind of untalked about. I think they're the second or the third youngest team in the league. Don't quote me on that. They might be top 5, but they're up there in youth. And I think they just kind of had a spark. And FC Cincinnati was just coming off of a high, and I think it was just kind of the perfect storm. You didn't see a lot of high energy early in the game. Late in the game, you had guys kind of subbing in and out. That it just a lot of unusual in the coaching department. I think they just kind of accepted that it wasn't their night, and they rocked back on. I think the 15th. Yep, June 15th against San Jose, and I think you're going to see a rested Cincinnati team go back in and continue the winning streak and come back strong. I think it was just kind of a fluke night.
And that happens. You go on a nice long winning streak. You win 7 in a row. You get a little full of yourself. You maybe you come out and they score. Nashville scored. Let's see, they scored. Summary. They scored in the 25th minute and then the 29th minute, and you're like, damn. You get hit with 2 goals early.
But Nashville was putting up a lot of. Nashville was putting up a lot of shots. Their shot percentage in the beginning of the game, it was almost 2-1 to FC's Cincinnati. So give Nashville credit. They came out to kind of make a statement, and they did it against what was the hottest team in football or soccer.
Well,
and
positive though, Jordan. Inter Milan also lost last night.
Yes.
Last night. So Cincinnati doesn't lose any ground there. They're still a point back of Inter Miami. Sorry, not Milan. Inter Miami. I saw the MLS put out their power rankings. FC Cincinnati improved in front of Miami. So that was exciting. That's very cool. Messi did score last night. Jordan, this is going to be kind of a fun race down to the end. I understand they lost last night and that happens, but there's a lot of season left to go here. Do we get to see Cincinnati and Miami match up here, late in the year? Because that kind of game with everything on the line, that's the kind of thing we need to really help get some more people into soccer, football, whatever you want to call it. What are your thoughts there?
No, Douglas, I agree with you. I haven't seen the full schedule yet past June, but whether it's postseason, I think the postseason would be amazing to see that matchup early. I know we kind of are going to play a lower seed before you get there, but that's what Cincinnati needs. You kind of put the pulse on it right there, and we've kind of touched on it 2 shows ago. We're top 5, top 6 in sales for sellouts, and so the fan base is definitely there, but taking that next level where Columbus kind of wrecked us last year in the postseason. I think this team's going to go far. I think 100% they're going to meet Miami, and I think odds makers, who doesn't want to see that right now? A young upcoming team and from Cincinnati, a new franchise against a world-renowned player for Miami who's always been kind of around in the Eastern Conference even before he got there. That's must-see TV when it comes to soccer or football. So I think I think we might see it. I think 80-20% we might see it.
Jordan, it looks like in July 6th, FC Cincinnati versus Inter Miami in Cincinnati, and then we play them in Miami Saturday, August 24th before the season, and then we've got September, October before the playoffs. Long season ahead, but those are 2 marquee games that I think maybe you and me go to the bar and maybe watch those games and to have a little more actually sit down and watch some good soccer.
Maybe we go to the stadium.
I bet you those tickets are. I bet you those tickets are damn expensive, but that would be a hell of a night.
They're reasonable. Let me do my research.
For Messi coming in, I bet. Oh,
Messi coming! I forgot. Yeah, it's not what we're playing. It's who's coming in. Yeah, you're right about that.
All right, Jordan. Well, we went for over 50 minutes tonight. Had a long interview with our guy Jeffrey. Again, shout out to Jeffrey. Thank you.
Cleveland Pulse, folks, check them out.
Busy night. Shout out to Cleveland Pulse. Those guys, we just appreciate the time. Tonight we've got 149 people watching. Thank you. We will be back Monday night to do it all over again. We appreciate you guys, and we're going to keep getting better. We're going to keep improving. I think next step for me is to make this space a little more office sports friendly.
You and me both.
Hopefully we can both do that. Social media is on the ticker down below. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, people, please. We are almost at 200 subscribers. We're working our butts off, and we're going to keep bringing good content. TikTok, YouTube, X, Instagram, Facebook. We're all over the map. Thank you, everybody, and we will see you guys next Monday. Jordan, love you, buddy. See ya.
Love you.